Good evening, good night, wherever, whenever you are. I hope you're well. I know I was just covering up my microphone. Still not very good at this. It's a lot easier when you have, like, equipment and stuff. Anyway, I am Shaggy. I am Philalitheia. Equipment costs money. Um, I am homeless. I am broadcasting from my tent. It is about 7:30 in the morning. I have about 57, and one of the things that I spend a lot of my time doing, you're unaware of because it's just not interesting to talk about. And it's also, frankly, very dangerous to talk about in public if what you want is a social reputation. And really, what you want is that Christian money. And that's what you all want me to be chasing, is that Christian money. Um, I spend a lot of time criticizing the literature and the media that Christians make and consume. And so this channel is not my personal channel, and so this channel has a completely different algorithm of what gets sent to it. And so sometimes what I like to do is, in the morning when I'm feeling talkative, or I still want to get a little bit more stoned than I am, but I am stoned, but I want to be at least smoking because fuck it, it's my money, I bought it. Even if I do need to really consider rationing it out and not using it at all for a while, because I need to replace this tent, and that's going to cost me a lot more than I generate in the span of time it takes me to consume my other materials. But that is very relevant to why I'm doing this, because everyone, I think, struggles with lust. And one of the things that one of the things I know has chased people away from my journal is I just outright talked about my struggle with sexual desire in my journals, because any one of you think about what it would be like to be this far away from women. And so I spend a lot of time commenting on how women look at me, and what women look like and how women act, and pondering casual sex in general. And I know that the people who have read my work don't like to think about it because they've all been women. And so that's fair, totally fair, in fact. Sorry for putting my thumb in your face. But one of the things that I think about is I read the Bible looking for the lust stuff. Well, because one of the things that you have to talk about if you're going to encourage people to any one religion is you do have to talk about their scandals. And Christianity has a very real sex scandal at every level and in every denomination. Sex scandal is a very real problem among Christians, especially Christian leaders. You can really see it. You just anywhere. You can look anywhere and you can see it happening. This is why the Orthodox Church, for example, figured out real early that priests needed to be married because they needed someone to outlet that on. And so I started watching this, and it's not good. And so I want to correct it, but I want to show you what I see. I want to give you an opportunity to send me, if you are Christian or you like Christian material, send me what you think is better Christian material. But I also want you to see this uncanny AI shit that I'm talking about, and how you need to be paying attention to who's speaking to you, who is doing the speaking.
Why is it that those who are called to a higher purpose often face the deepest battles with lust? It's a struggle that no one likes to talk about, yet it's more common than you think.
If this is a real person speaking, I am AI generated. There is no way that's a real person's voice. That is an AI generated reader. I know that because I have been using AI generated readers for about 6 years, waiting on that technology to catch up to my ability to use it for Rob, because I'm not that skilled a voice actor, and I'm not getting paid to learn how to do it at that level of complexity. So if this was written by a human being, we're in uncanny valley territory, because this person is subtly lying to you. Remember, AI is a subtle lie. The idea behind AI is to make your brain think that a human being made this, and just it's the suspension of disbelief of ordinary conversation. And so when you're speaking to another human being, you suspend your disbelief that they are not human. You believe that they are human. Just by default, because you can see that they're human. You suspend your disbelief that they're demon possessed automatically. And because you don't have a demon thriving or a demon possessed world, because you haven't read, for example, Carl Sagan, and then you haven't asked, well, okay, well, what if everything Carl Sagan is saying is wrong? What if? And then put a chip on that black just in case it hit. Right. A Christian using AI is a little bit like a pagan wearing a crucifix. It's a little bit like that, because AI is trained to lie to you. It is subtly lying. It is not, in fact, an actual human voice. Okay? And see, like with your GPS, the little talkie, you know that a human recorded all of that, and that a computer is just playing it appropriately. And so your brain is already trained to have a subtle suspension of disbelief that an AI is at least one person having recorded all of those words. But it's not, because it tries to inflect. It doesn't do robot voice. It's a struggle that no one likes to talk about, yet it's more common than you think, as it puts all of these words that someone just recorded every single word in the dictionary, and then the computer knows how to put those sounds to that spelling. That's not what's happening with AI, all right? AI is pretending to be an actual human being that's actually saying and not reading this. It's trying to sound like it's talking, like it's memorized, or like it's just coming off its dome like I do, like I am right now. And it's absolutely not. That is a lie. It's subtle, but it's a lie. And so this is a Christian using a literal satanic artifact to tell you about why Jesus is good. This is a little bit like a priest telling you to resist the temptation of lust while receiving oral sex from an underage prostitute. That's what this is. All right? That's why I feel so strongly that I'm going to now comment on the rest of it. Because the lust struggle is not one that is more common than you or I think, common watcher of this video. It is the very reason we don't attend church and we don't allow our children around powerful Christians.
And the reasons behind it are shocking. If you're feeling overwhelmed by this silent battle, you're not alone.
It's not a silent
battle. In
battle.
fact, there's a biblical...
It's not a silent battle. If it's silent in your community, you're a Mormon, all right? And so if this is for Mormons, Mormons using AI is Mormons being Mormons, all right? The Book of Mormon was AI generated. You know that, right? That's the claim.
Explanation for it. Let's uncover the truth behind this hidden struggle.
Let's.
Throughout the Bible, some of the most anointed people faced fierce temptations.
Fact.
Think of
But the way they're using anointed there is very wrong. Most anointed, you don't get more, like, you don't get more oil because you're of a higher calling, y'all. Like, using anointed wrong means that this might also be AI generated. So this might be 5 minutes of somebody who spent fewer than 5 minutes to make it. And so let's just real quickly, this is going to fuck up your orientation, Cope. 9.43K views, no, followers, 28K likes. 9,430 followers, 28,000 likes. That's hugely lopsided. This is somebody making a huge amount of money off of almost no effort.
David.
Really, Christians, is that really the precedent you want to set?
A man after God's own heart, who fell into the trap of lust with Bathsheba. Or Samson, whose strength and calling were overshadowed by his weakness for Delilah.
Those are two very different things. Two very different things. The David thing is the most important thing in the Christian cult today. It is the primary parable, let's say. It is the foundation myth of the family, who is the Christian cult that dominates Washington, D.C.
Even today, those chosen by God are not exempt from this struggle. But why? Why does lust seem to target those set apart for greatness? It's not just about human weakness.
Why is greatness in air quotes there? Why is greatness in square quotes? Set apart for greatness, and this guy with this weird nose is looking up at it with the air quotes. What's that about? Greatness. Are you going to, because you've tangented so far away from what you're saying, you've made it very vague. Are we now going to go into a tangent about what greatness means in this 5-minute video?
It's a spiritual battle, and the enemy knows exactly who to target.
What is a spiritual battle?
The Bible makes it clear that spiritual warfare is real.
Yeah, we're going off on a tangent of what greatness is. He's about to explain, well, this channel is about to explain to us that greatness is living up to this spiritual warfare, and that the calling is actually to go to war against the devil, right? But that has absolutely nothing to do with the temptation to sex or the temptation to any sin.
Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities."
But this is a video about lust, which is a wrestle, that is a conflict with flesh.
Against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness.
The rulers of the darkness of this age were all in diabolical sex cults.
In the heavenly places. Lust isn't just a physical.
The wickedness of the heavenly places was the lust of the angels for human women.
Temptation. It's a spiritual attack aimed at those with a divine calling.
Mary was impregnated during sexual congress with an angel.
The enemy knows that if he can corrupt the purity of a chosen one, he can hinder God's purpose for their life. But why does this struggle hit so hard?
Did you notice that the purity there was of a nun?
Here are 5 shocking reasons. 1. Spiritual sensitivity makes temptation stronger.
You're gonna have to explain that.
Being spiritually gifted often means having heightened awareness, not just of God's presence, but also of the enemy's tactics. Lust is a powerful tool the enemy uses to distract and weaken those.
If you have heightened awareness, oh, that's a complicated and evil argument they're trying to make. They're saying that you have heightened awareness of his tactics, and that lust is a tactic that he uses. So you have heightened awareness of the lust. What they're trying to say is that you have a heightened sensitivity toward lust as a chosen person. That's not true. Sex addicts do not get to run cult.
With divine callings. Chosen ones often experience more
I am certain, the more I watch this, I am certain that it's Mormon.
Intense temptations, because the enemy knows that if he can trap them in lust, he can slow down or even derail their spiritual growth.
Right. This is a the devil made me do it argument. And that's unacceptable, because that is an unacceptable argument even in the Bible.
2. Isolation leads to hidden battles.
Okay, so this is the monks, this is the Kundalini yoga of Christianity, where they're like, okay, well, spending so much time away from people, spending so much time in meditation, spending all this time alone, it makes me horny, I want to jerk off.
Chosen
Like jerking off is a problem, like it's bad.
ones are often set apart, walking a path that few can understand.
Yes.
While this solitude can be a blessing, it also creates a dangerous vulnerability.
It creates a dangerous
Without strong
vulnerability to prostitutes? Yo, come on, y'all.
Accountability or deep spiritual connections, lust becomes a private struggle.
If lust is a public struggle, you already lost, bro.
The secrecy of this battle makes it harder to overcome, leading many chosen ones to suffer in silence.
What the fuck are you talking about suffer? Yeah, this is talking about porn addiction. This is talking about the secret shame of porn addiction. Y'all, if you watch porn, you don't have to fucking talk about that you watch porn, but you also don't have to be ashamed of rubbing a nut out to a pretty girl. Like, if you're rubbing a nut out and what you're thinking about is how hot that dude is, just watch gay porn and stop being ashamed of yourself for what you like to jerk off to. Come on. Like, okay, let's just be real. Dudes need like 2 nuts a day. That's like what keeps your testicles from swelling up and hurting you, okay? And you know how you're going to get those nuts consistently? With your fucking hand. Do you know how much time chimpanzees spend jerking off? You would be shocked if you were a Victorian. Why the fuck are you a Victorian? It's been 100 years, y'all.
3.
If you're suffering with your lust for teenage girls in anything but silence, anything but silence, if you're talking about it at all, how much you suffer about it, you just need to not be in a position of leadership. You need to be in a grave is where you need to be. Like, this is not difficult shit. America made this pretty fucking clear at one point. Like, there were lynch mobs and everything. Come on, y'all.
High calling attracts greater attacks.
Okay, so number 2 is number 3. These like 1, 2, and 3. These are all the same thing. He keeps saying this that your high calling brings attention from the devil. This is all a very unelaborate "the devil makes you do it" argument, which means that the person who made this video is defending a secret shame of enjoying the company of way too young boys.
The higher the calling, the stronger the warfare.
No, in fact,
lust isn't just
the higher the calling, the more isolated you are, the weaker you are. What are you talking about? Jesus was not strong in his warfare. The Christian cult almost failed because it wasn't obvious to anybody that a crucified criminal had done anything in the war against evil.
Natural human struggle. It is a spiritual attack designed to keep chosen ones distracted, drained, and distanced from God. Many great leaders, prophets, and
yes, because the sex cult religions felt very distant from God while they were nuts deep in a woman.
Spiritual warriors have fallen because they underestimated the power of this battle. The enemy uses lust as a constant snare, knowing that even the strongest warriors can be brought down by their flesh. 4. Emotional wounds create open doors. Many chosen ones carry deep emotional wounds, rejection, abandonment, past heartbreaks. These unhealed scars can become open doors for lust.
They make you vulnerable to prostitutes and to taking advantage of people who are more wounded and less intelligent than you are. All of this is an elaborate "the devil made me do it" argument. This is very bad. If you think that this is educational and you're the kind of person who's inclined to click on this, go away. Go away from me. You're a bad person. You're the worst kind of person. You'll take sexual advantage of children.
When a person is emotionally vulnerable, the enemy offers lust as a false comfort, a counterfeit connection to fill the void.
I mean, that's true. That's true. That's why what I wrote about casual sex that I don't understand is it's a counterfeit connection between people. Women, when you're having casual sex, you're like, well, turn the lights off, or don't look at me. Don't look me in the eye. It's like, come on.
Without inner healing, lust becomes a coping mechanism, creating a cycle of sin and shame that is hard to break.
They buried it 3:30, like directly in the middle of the video. Well, no, I guess not directly. They buried it here in the latter third of the video because the first 3 were weak, and also they needed to say that. That's not a reason.
Strong spiritual gifts come with...
If you said any of this, if somebody said to you, I'm done with this video. We're going to finish it, but I'm done with it. If somebody said to you, we need you to prepare 5 reasons why you had sex with that underage child, and you offered these as your 5 reasons, you're going to fucking jail, pal. Like, these are not reasons.
The weak flesh. Many chosen ones have powerful spiritual gifts, but they are still human. The flesh remains weak, and without consistent spiritual discipline, prayer, fasting, and renewing the mind, the battle against lust...
The fasting is to keep your body so weak that you can't generate a good nut, that it's not satisfying when you get off. That's what the fasting is. That's the only thing the fasting is about. These people, you don't want the visions that come with weeks and weeks and weeks of fasting. You want the tight, skinny bodies and the inability to get off well or have a good orgasm or have a really, really powerful boner because your body is malnourished. That's what you want. You don't want any of the stuff that comes with deep fasting. I know I sure as fuck don't want any of the stuff that comes with deep fasting. You start to fucking hallucinate. It's not good. Your body starts to ease itself and then your brain starts to eat itself. It's bad. It's real bad. I don't want any of that. And the flesh remains weak. So what we have to do is weaken it. That's insanity. That's complete insanity. Renewing the mind, don't renew the mind. Don't just start over as a new person every time you make a mistake. That's called ego death. That's called cyclical ego death. And the reason that Christians do that is because they don't have to be held accountable. No. Unacceptable behavior. All of this was unacceptable to Jesus. All of this is unacceptable in Scripture. All of this was unacceptable for Jonah, and Jonah is significantly older than Jesus. Oops, I hit the wrong button.
Are you looking to establish your business using an address other than your home? Well, at iPost.
My next question I have for you
I am looking to
intensifies.
establish, business
The greater the anointing,
an address separate from my home.
the greater the need for self-control. Without actively strengthening their
greater the anointing. Okay, so the more oil they they pour on you, the more okay. The more you have no, there is exactly one reason. All right, I'm done. We're not finishing the rest of this video. I've stolen enough from it. I hate it that much. We're not finishing it. It's made me angry. There is exactly and only one reason. I can't make this any bigger. So look, just put it right here. I'm talking to you and I'm going to be finished with this live. Yeah, 20 minutes, 21, 25 feels adequate for just like a long form. So listen, there is exactly one reason that spiritual leaders and people like me, well, let's say two reasons. You can say the loneliness, whatever. The biological need, okay, fine, that's a reason, but whatever. That's not a reason to do things that are amoral, unethical, or illegal, all right? It will never be a reason to do anything in those categories, all right? The reason that they struggle particularly with lust is because women throw themselves at religious leaders, because who doesn't want to have a dynastic child of a religious leader? And parents leave their children vulnerable with religious leaders. That is the reason, because people make themselves vulnerable. The religious leader did not come to the religious leader position without the religious leader who struggles with lust did not come to his position without that lust already baked into his personality. A person who gets drunk and then becomes violent has the violence built into his personality. You hear what I'm saying? You don't become a different person, and you don't get to just claim, oh, well, I've renewed my mind, I'm a different person now. No, you have to also act different, and you aren't allowed to be around children anymore. That's how that works. I keep myself away from women. I don't make eye contact with these women who look at me. They stare. The women, there are very, very attractive women. There was a very, very attractive nurse in the Panera yesterday who was eye fucking me the whole time I was there. And look, I wasn't actually. I didn't notice her until I pulled out my notebook and my fancy fountain pen and my bottle of ink, and I saw her eyeballs about roll out of her fucking head, and I noticed her have to go get a fucking handful of napkins to wipe up her fucking seat, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a problem for us both for the next however long you're here with your friends, because you're going to be here with your friends for fucking ever. And they were there for fucking ever. And you know what she did? She watched me the whole fucking time. And so what am I supposed to do? Am I just supposed to walk over to her and be like, hey, I'm Vincent. I'm homeless. I need a shower. Can I use yours? You want to adopt me? I'm a stray. Because that's how women treat men. You definitely treat us, because the only mammals you know anything about are fucking pets. You weren't allowed to be around boys, and then when you were around us, you were bossy as shit, so we we put you to one thing, and so you got your own home, so that if we were going to put you to that thing, it was at your terms. This does no one know this? Is no one honest about this? Come the fuck on. This is why you won't read my journals. This is why you won't go to the Patreon, because I'm this fucking honest, and I get to be a lot more explicit about it because I'm not on YouTube. I'm in MySpace. My space. That's why MySpace was called that. You know that, right? Like the spaces thing, like the whole like safe space, like that whole thing, like that all of that language started at around the time that MySpace was being made, and MySpace just took advantage of it to millions, maybe billions of dollars of profit. But anyway, I took my hat off. And that was a problem for her, because my hair is sexy. It's thick and it's dark and it's healthy. Look how healthy it is, that it's able to stand up on its own like that. Yeah, how virile is that, man? Right. And I don't stink. I just smell like a dude who's been like basically mowing the grass all day or working outside all day. And so what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to struggle with that? Am I supposed to put her in my spank bank? Am I supposed to ogle her body? Because, I mean, Jesus made this very clear, and I cannot believe they didn't reach to this in Scripture, that to commit adultery with a woman in your mind, to even look at her body and think, that's good, is to sin against her. Like, that is to lust against her in some way. And then so moving from, that's nice, to I'd like that is covetousness. And so, yeah, like when you wake up, like imagine being me, right? And you wake up in this tent with morning wood, and it's like, how do you sustain it, right? Well, you either reach to porn, right? Or you reach to any of these women who eyeball fuck you in public, right? And who, you know, that if you had even $15, you could be like, hey, you want to get a drink? Or, hey, can I get you, like, you're in this place together. It's like, hey, do you mind if I like get a soup and sit down with you? Like, you don't know how easy it is actually. You just don't understand how easy it is actually. And it's not the anointedness of it. It's not the holiness of it. Because you got to understand, an anointed person, and if you're talking about greatness of anointing, you're talking about hierarchy of anointments, that in itself is sex cult. Like the reason I stopped going to that church, in a large part, and I wrote about this, is because I didn't want access to their women. And like this Panera, there's a girl in there who has a crush on me. There are several of them that want to talk to me, right? There are several of the managers who find opportunities to clean the table directly in front of me, bent over with their legs apart, way longer than they need to be. These aren't things I fantasize about. I've been there for 5 months. These aren't things that I'm just imagining. They're things that happen on a weekly basis, and 5 months is 20 weeks. So they're things that I've seen happen plus 10 times, right? And what 5 months is 150 days. That's 150 days in a row. I see these people, many of them 5 out of 7 days. So you can figure I've seen these people 100 times, right? They do these things. Humans do these things. Many of them don't even, and if I pointed out that they were doing, would get offended. I know that because I once let a woman who was my boss cross that boundary to like, hey, let's do sex stuff. And so like what I did is I made it very explicit that like when I knew she was crossing the boundary, we never did sex stuff. I wouldn't let her get that far, but I let her cross the boundary to like texting me and talking about it. Like, oh man, I need somebody that I can do this with, that kind of stuff that I'm not volunteering for. And then like, I would tell her like, oh, I saw how you dressed today. You did X, Y, Z. I know that was for me. And she'd be like, that's too far. I'm uncomfortable with that. And it's like, yeah, I know you are. I know, because you don't actually want to seal the deal on this. You just want to have crossed the line. And that's what these women are doing, is they're trying to get me to cross the line into looking at them and lusting for them, thinking exactly what Panera was thinking, that if I got a job there, then I would be allowed to fuck those girls. And it's like, A, I don't want to fuck those girls, and B, I don't want a job, so I have the privilege of getting to fuck. That's insane. That is ancient. That is so regressivist in thinking that it's ancient. And that's how Texas was settled. Are we really an oil rig town that's just full of criminals? And that's how you socialize males, is by giving them access to college girls for casual sex? Give me a fucking break. Give me a fucking break. I am not an Athenian. Give me a break. That is such an ancient worldview, it's meaningless. No wonder every single male under the age of 36 is fucking gay. Jesus Christ, women. That's really what you think is gonna work? Oh, access to our vaginas is gonna make you act in a certain way that we want, so you'll spend gifts on us. That's really explicitly your plan? That's insane. That's insane. The reason that anointed people, the reason that people who accept the religious calling struggle with lust is because everybody is walking around naked. Everyone is advertising sex at all times. The amount of married women who position their bodies so I have no choice but to see them and look at their bodies. The number of women I see sit and organize their cleavage so that when I look up, so I'm not just looking at my phone, or I stretch my neck, there's a nice cleavage view, is insane. It's bananas. It's bananas. Now look, as a homeless guy, I understand that that's the best they can do for charity. And I get it, that they're trying to give me something nice to look at, but it's also bananas. It's bananas that you don't understand, or that you're willing to be lied to by a computer about why people like me struggle with lust, why pastors can't only put their dicks in their wives, or why they can't put their dicks in nobody if that's what they pledge to do. They imply that David and Samson did the same thing, but Samson never sinned. Samson never erred against God. Never once. Samson didn't want to be married to Delilah. He was married to her in a fluke of fate. He didn't want to be married to her. He wasn't lustful for her. In fact, he never gave her a child. The thing you don't understand is the ancient world, lust didn't mean butt sex. If a man lusted for a woman, she was going to be pregnant until she just died in childbirth. That's a thing. That's why so many people are like, she survived childbirth. Like, that's like, so many ancient people are like, oh, she was a great person because she managed to survive childbirth. And you know how she did it? Told her fucking husband to get another wife. That's why women got divorced back in the days. All right. The marriage contract is over. You've got 7 fucking kids and 4 of them are male. Some of them have survived. The marriage contract is over. Fuck. But that's real, because they didn't understand how pregnancy works. And now that we understand how pregnancy works, all you do is butt sex. I've had people break up with me. This is oversharing, but I literally have had women break up with me because they didn't want to do butt sex, and they thought that was the only way that I would be happy. It's like, we're having regular consensual sex. Why are you breaking up with me because you think I want something I haven't asked for? You're crazy. You're all insane. All of you are insane. And then you watch this to feel good about yourself? Why do you watch this? 28,000 people liked it. That means 28,000 people are justifying a preacher fucking a kid. You realize that. That's exactly what that means. This didn't tell you any truth. This didn't tell you any truth about why anybody does anything. Holy people struggle with lust because women just give it away. Because it's biologically advantageous. It's evolutionarily advantageous to have a child with a famous person.